Hey, how you guys doing? My name is Matt Balducci and welcome to my book reviews. This is the portion of my channel where I cover a book a week, and I'm gonna be reading 60 books in 2018. If you're watching this video, I have about 10 to 15 book reviews already made that have come out on other amazing books, and I'm gonna be going through over the course of the next year here. My number one goal is to make people read more books. Now, when I say make, I want to motivate people to read more books because, in my opinion, if you can read, you should be freaking just absorbing as much knowledge as you possibly can. The years that I've read a ton of books were the years I had my greatest growth, and that's because you can literally steal knowledge from very, very successful people in the world. Number two is selfishly, I'm reading 60 books this year. I'm making these book reviews so I can go back and basically watch my summaries and get as much information from those and remember what I took from each book. Now, the book we're covering today, like I mentioned, is Start With Why by Simon Sinek. Every person should have this book in their library, every person. And honestly, my son, who's 16 months, he's very little. Once he's able to fully read and comprehend, I'm gonna have him read this book. Reason is, guys, is that this is a staple to success. And Simon Sinek, if you don't know who he is, you must have been sleeping under a rock. He's been all over everything. Just Google him right now, and he just has a ton of content out there, tons of studies, and he's basically one of the top people in behavioral science, if you will, of how to build organizations, teams, different things like that. But really, it's for anything, because the whole concept of this book, which is Start With Why, works for whatever goal you're trying to achieve. I think that once you have a goal, you absolutely need to sit down and figure out why the heck you're even pursuing the goal. Get clarity, right? I took that from a book called High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard, which I made a book review a couple weeks ago about. And this book just covers and just basically beats you over the head with the fact that if you don't know why you're doing something, you're gonna over time fail. Yes, you can build it with a how and the what, but over time, it's just not going to be successful. Now, again, what I mean by this, guys, is that in the beginning, my goal right now is to become a bodybuilder. If you watch some of my original videos, you can see that I've lost some weight, I've gained some muscle, and by the end of the year, in my 60th book review, I'm going to be just completely ripped. Now, the reason I'm even talking about that is because when I first started, if you want to know, I was 27% body fat. That was less than a year ago. And I was about 45 pounds heavier than I am currently. And honestly, this book is why I was able to succeed, because I sat down and figured out why I was trying to get in shape, which is I just had a baby at the time. He was 6 months old at the time, or 7 months old, somewhere in that range. And I realized that I did not want my son growing up in a house where his father was way out of shape and fat, if you will. And I wanted to be a great example. That was my why. And my second why was I run a high performance coaching business, which I just launched here a couple months ago, and I cannot be a high performance coach if I'm overweight, right? Because that literally that shows that you are not a high performer, right? Because you need to be successful in everything. Now, what Simon Sinek talks a lot about in his book is he talks highly about how to build it in an organization or a business or a team or a tribe, if you will. And I think it's just unbelievable. He talks about Starbucks, Apple, a lot of the big, awesome companies that are out there currently. Now, some companies don't use the why or this concept, but he talks a lot about Apple and how they've basically been able to have exponential growth and basically survive even when their business potentially could have collapsed on them. So I want to give you guys my top 3 takeaways from this book, okay? So the first one, which we've already covered pretty heavily, is that just like the book's title, Start With Why. You have to know why you're doing something, guys. You just have to. I don't know how else to say it, but if you don't, you're gonna fail and you're not gonna stick to your plan. You're not gonna stick to your goal. Like I mentioned about my bodybuilding, stuff like that, you gotta know exactly what you're trying to achieve. If you don't, you will stop. I'm telling you, I've been in the habit loop of going up and down in weight and body weight and all of that, and that's because I didn't really have a reason other than I just wanted to look good. That's not good enough, right? Because you can look good at different parts of, it's also looking good depends on what you think looking good means, right? So I had to make it way more specific and not about me. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, which I love this part of the book, which is that the human race needs to be in a tribe or in a group. And what that essentially means, guys, is that we thrive when we are a part of different organizations. Everybody in the world wants to be a part of a group. It's just who we are as human beings. We want to be a part of a tribe. We want to have that group that we can go to. So the cool part is depending on what you're trying to accomplish. So for me, I'm trying to become a health nut and a bodybuilder. So I hang out with people that have this same focus, right? Because if I hang out with people that are all overweight, I'm 100% not going to hit my goal. But I also set myself up to be in that group, right? I joined a lot of networking groups for businesses and things like that because I want to be around more successful people. Now, if you're in a tribe right now or a group and you realize that that group maybe isn't progressing you to where you need to go, you need to get out of it. But what Simon Sinek talks about is that we can build these. You can build it. I can build a tribe. I can build a group. In my construction company I run, which is a $2.5 million business, the reason it's been so successful is that it's not a construction company. I built a culture around why, which is why we work with college students and why we help them succeed in sales and learning time management and all that. And because of that why, we were able to grow our business pretty rapidly in 4 years from nothing to 2.5 million, which is super exciting. And so again, it's all about what tribe or culture or group do you want to be a part of. Are you the creator? And that's okay if you're not, but be a part of the right ones. So that's number 2. Number 3 is charisma is key as a leader. Now, at first when I read this, I was like, wait a second, you have to have charisma. And then he started using Bill Gates as an example. And what charisma is not what we all think. We all think energy. So right now I'm putting out energy to make this video, and that's not charisma. Anybody can put energy out. All you need to do is drink a Red Bull or a cup of coffee or take a supplement or whatever, and you can build energy. Charisma is completely different. So what is charisma? That's when people want to follow you. Energy only lasts for so long. Now, if you can take energy and charisma, damn, you're going to be an unbelievable leader. But if you look at Bill Gates, he's kind of a nerd, right? But he's freaking a multi-billionaire, and it's unbelievable. And he's built this crazy business of Microsoft. And again, like I said, he's not the coolest person. Honestly, the way he dresses, the way he talks, all of that, I would not have guessed charisma. But what he has is he has charisma where people want to follow him because he knows what he's going after and he doesn't jump off away from what he's trying to get to. And he has a clear mind on what his number one goal was from the beginning. And since then, every single decision he's made up until that point was based on that goal. So charisma is important, energy is not. Now again, yes, you should be energized, you should be excited, but it's not the only, don't be faked out by leaders that have energy but they're not charismatic. So on that note, my number 4 takeaway is when your business gets so big that your business grows past a certain point and it loses its why. That happens to a lot of businesses, guys. So once you get to a certain point, you have too many employees in your tribe, and then different tribes start breaking up. So they discovered that up to about 150 people can be in a tribe. Back in the day of the nomads and the Native Americans and so on and so forth. Once you got to 150 people, it got too big. So then people would start separating out into multiple tribes, and that's how basically you got all the different Native American tribes. That's how you have all the cultures and different things like that. But again, the same thing happens in your company. So how do you control that? You have to look at it that way and go, once I hit that number of 150 plus people in my organization, then you need to start creating sub-tribes within the group. And you need to control it. And the sub-tribes have to fill behind your why. Sometimes you get to a certain point as a businessman where you're making a lot of money and you start making your decisions based on money, which has happened to me. And what happens anytime you make your decisions not based on your why, but because of money, which money can be your why, but it's not really a strong enough one, to be honest. But then what's going to happen, guys, is your business is going to crumble, which you see over and over and over and over and over again. It happened to me. My business didn't crumble, but it fell backward. Actually, it didn't fall backwards, but it didn't grow as fast as it should have. So I'm telling you guys, you have to know why, and you have to understand that once your business gets to a certain point, your decisions still have to be made as if you're a small company, okay, as if you're a startup. That's why you see these startups get started and they blow up, but then once they get to a certain point, it completely crumbles on them. It's because they stop making the decisions of when they were a startup. My last takeaway is called the celery test. So what that looks like, guys, is when you go to the grocery store and you go in there and you have this list, and it says you need to get donuts, you need to get cereal, you need to get celery, you need to get this, you need to get that, you need this thing, you need that thing. So what that looks like, and what Simon was talking about, Simon Sinek here, was talking about in his book, is that in our life, you're going to have a ton of people out there that are going to be basically filling your head with different things. And you have to basically make sure that you're making and taking in the decisions and the advice from people that understand your why. If it does not live up to where you're trying to go, then that literally, no matter if it's going to make you more money, you cannot go that path, because once you go that path, it completely takes away your credibility of why you were doing it in the first place. And again, in this book, guys, I butchered it in this video, but I just want you to go pick up this book. They're just such good topics. So I'm going to recap the top 5 takeaways I had, which is 1, start with why. You have to know why you're doing something, or else you're going to fail. Number 2 is that the human race is great at building tribes and groups, and everybody wants to be a part of those. Number 3 is charisma versus energy, right? Which is that energy is not leadership, charisma is leadership. Number 4 is when your business gets to a certain size, you have to realize that it's going to start breaking into smaller tribes, and that your why can easily leave the group. You need to make sure that is constantly where you make your decisions, and that's where the celery test, which is number 5, comes in, is that if you're a health nut and you show up to the grocery store, guess what you're going to buy? Celery, healthy foods, whatever, right? In terms of that, you are not going to go get the donut or the cookie, or you're going to go get a pancake or whatever. You're going to stay being a health nut. I'm a health nut right now, and I eat the same meals every single week. And I know that sounds crazy to some of you guys watching. Reason is, 1 is habits. Read the book Power of Habit. You understand why, all that good stuff. But number 2 is that I have pretty much changed the way my brain works, and my why is so big that when people ask me, it's simple. I tell them why, and it makes more sense that I'm not crazy, that I'm doing it for a purpose. And the same thing goes with that in business. So good luck, guys. Watch this book, or read this book, listen to this book. And I recommend you guys take a look at Simon Sinek's other work, and subscribe below, put a comment below. Tell me if you like this book review. Hopefully it helped. And again, check it out, read more. I'll talk to you guys later.